Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
And we have our first hurricane of the Atlantic season. We'll talk about how strong Aaron is and when it could become a major hurricane.
Breaking news, honoring the life of a public servant. We are live at the dedication of the bridge, named after Deputy Ned Byrd.
Also breaking, health plan hike. Hundreds of thousands of state employees and retirees will pay more for their health care. We'll break down those premiums in just a bit.
Aaron became a hurricane just an hour ago. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Chris Lovingood. Thank you so much for joining us. It's likely to rapidly intensify this weekend a little bit further as Elizabeth Gardner is tracking this. And Elizabeth, again, you were watching very closely to see this very moment unfold.
This is a storm that we're going to be watching very closely, as you said. And I think everybody's going to be interested in this. It is likely to come close to the United States. At this point, we have no reason to believe that it's going to make landfall. But, we're still, 5-6 days out from when it becomes closer to the United States. Let's talk about the storm here. It is out here way out in the Atlantic. This is not going to have an impact on your beach plans this weekend in any way, shape, or form. And it looks like it's going to cruise north of all of the Caribbean islands. It's beginning to form a bit of an eye wall. We've had a couple of Hurricane Hunter airplanes in that storm this morning. And of course, they found some strong winds and that formation of that eye wall. And so they said, yep, hurricane, as of the 11 o'clock advisory, is moving northwest at 18 miles per hour, has 75-mile-per-hour winds, and it does undergo some rapid intensification. By Saturday, it's Category 3, and look at all of this time that it spends as a Category 4, from late on Saturday to the morning hours on Tuesday. So this is going to be a very large, very powerful storm. And then it continues its northward trek in between Bermuda and the United States. Of course, North Carolina sticks out, right in the way of these storms. Let's take a look at the model plots. This is a look at the hurricane-specific model plots, and we like it when they're tightly packed together. That gives us a lot of confidence in the forecast. Yes, there's one that swings to the left, but we're not going to pay that too much attention. We're going to talk about what kicks this storm away from the U.S., and we're going to go over the timeline of the impacts that we'll see for the coast in just a few minutes.
Breaking news right now, family, friends, and fellow law enforcement are honoring Wake County Deputy Ned Byrd. He died in the line of duty 3 years ago. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is live at Springfield Baptist Church. That's filled with family, friends, and other law enforcement officers. Destiny.
Renee, this is where we've heard some shared memories from Ned Byrd's partner, as well as some loved ones, some family members. You can see it truly is a celebration here. You can see they have photos of him, even a letter from a student here as well on this table here. And Byrd was shot to death during an investigation less than a mile from where we're standing here in this church. Now, people traveling through this area, they will be reminded of his dedication and his service and his courage on that night and throughout his entire time serving with the Wake County Sheriff's Office. The Auburn-Nightdale Road Bridge will now be named in his honor.
I think of him every single day, multiple times a day. I'll never forget him for the rest of my life.
People and law enforcement officers from different agencies across the state are here. Again, this part of the ceremony and the celebration is when we were hearing from people sharing memories and sharing the importance of his service. In about an hour and a half is when they will actually be putting that sign up to name that bridge in honor of Deputy Ned Byrd. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
What a way to honor his service. Our WRAL documentary team revisited the story of Ned Byrd. Two undocumented brothers are now headed to trial for his murder. Crossing borders, immigration and division in North Carolina gives a voice to those demanding stronger immigration laws and those fighting to stay with their families. You can watch it on WRALdocumentary.com or the WRAL Documentary YouTube channel.
Another breaking story we're following. A vote made an hour ago means higher health insurance costs for 800,000 state workers, retirees, and their family members. WRAL state government reporter Will Doran joins us live from the state treasurer's office in Raleigh. Will, leaders of the state health plan voted to increase premiums and deductibles for most plan holders.
That's right. Just under or over half an hour ago, this vote passed unanimously to raise these premiums. They've created a sliding scale, so exactly how much those premiums increase will depend on your salary. There's a whole lot of details here, as you can see. We've got more details online. But in general, it's the highest paid state employees who are going to be hit the hardest. If you're making over $90,000 a year, premiums could triple. But people making under $50,000 a year will only be paying about $10 more a month, depending on their plan.
A lot of people there, Will. I mean, this is clearly going to be significant for them. So what are you hearing from state employees?
They are angry about this. A lot of folks showed up this morning, had harsh words for the board saying, look, we are not getting a raise from the state legislature right now. This is basically a pay cut for us. We heard from folks from the organizations that represent state employees, teachers. One teacher showed up and said that the board should have voted against these increases because that would have added political pressure to the legislature to fund benefits instead of paying for tax cuts. However, that's not what happened. State Treasurer Brad Briner said that for years premiums were frozen when they shouldn't have been, and they need to start going up again now to keep up with the rising costs in healthcare.
And so are there any, winners with this new system for the state health plan, or?
Well, if you ask Briner, the treasurer, he says everyone wins because the state health plan was facing a $500 million shortfall. It was going to run out of money as soon as next year without taking action. And so he says this is going to help keep it in existence for everyone on the plan. But as far as individual state workers, there are a few winners in these details here. We know that people who have young children who they insure will actually be saving money in some cases or seeing their rates remain about flat. Retirees also won't be seeing their premiums go up. So there are a few bright spots in here.
We know there's a lot of information with this. You've been updating this information online, Will. Thank you. And folks, if you go to WRAL.com, you can find more details on this. I want to swing on to another breaking story we're learning about. Duke Energy Progress filed paperwork to merge with Duke Energy Carolinas. Duke says operating as one utility means customers can save more than $1 billion through 2038 after expenses. If approved, no bill or service changes would happen to retail rates before 2027. North Carolina, South Carolina, and federal regulators all have to approve this move, though.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, President Trump expected to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska today. That meeting expected to happen around 3 p.m. our time, including face-to-face talks with translators. Now, the goal is to end Russia's war with Ukraine. President Trump said, quote, I am doing this. I'm taking part in this meeting to save a lot of lives. He told European leaders the goal is to secure a ceasefire. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky emphasized that Ukraine will be, quote, counting on America. Now, it's unclear how long the two leaders will meet in private, but security is extremely tight in Alaska. Hours before the summit, security Secret Service agents were there opening dozens of boxed lunch, inspecting the contents there. We'll have another update coming up at 12:30.
Michelle, thanks. Heavy rain overnight flooded roads and stranded drivers across the Triangle. WRAL's Ali Kadlubar is surveying the impacts across our area in the Breaking News Tracker.
Yes, and here's one of those cars that flooded here on Warren Avenue in Cary. You can see how high that water rose with that water line right there. This is one of the many impacts we saw from overnight downpours. Downed trees, flooded roads, and stranded vehicles. The impacts from overnight downpours. A tree fell on top of an SUV on Western Boulevard around 11:30. It caused a family to crash. On Capitol Boulevard, floodwaters trapped vehicles. There was a similar situation on I-40 where a handful of vehicles are now stranded. You can see what's left of those floodwaters draining here on Warren Avenue. We're working to find out the extent of the damage from those overnight downpours. Reporting in Cary, Ali Kadlubar, WRAL News.
There's a new option for Americans to take a flu vaccine at home. Flu Mist Home can now be delivered to people in 34 states. The vaccine can be ordered online after patients fill out a medical screening questionnaire, but a licensed healthcare provider must review that. The nasal spray vaccine can be self-administered by most adults, and parents or caregivers can give out doses to children and elders too.
It's delivered with cold packs in a cold chain shipping model. And actually one of the great steps is when you receive your dose, there's a temperature tag that gets scanned to ensure that it stayed in the right temperature throughout the entire shipping process and that it's safe and ready to use.
And actually, the flu mist has been around for about 2 decades, and most insurance plans cover it. The FDA approved self-administered doses last year, but it wasn't ready for home delivery last flu season.
Get the kids back to school ready with a free community giveaway tomorrow. You can get free backpacks, school supplies, food, even haircuts. NC Central basketball coach Lavelle Moten hosts his annual Back to School Community Day tomorrow. Head over to the Raleigh Boys Club on Raleigh Boulevard anytime between 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Saturday. It's the 16th year for this back to school event.
Congressional map conflict. What happens with Texas lawmakers today could set the stage for future leadership in D.C. How California figures into all of this.
And families on the fly. A closer look at a TSA program meant to make traveling smoother for you.
And keeping your blood pressure low. New recommendations from medical leaders on how to do this by being mindful of your drinking.
Coming up next, sea storms moving in with WRAL's exclusive Dual Doppler 5000, sponsored by the WRAL Weather app. Download now for live radar.
So what happens with Texas lawmakers today could affect who holds power in D.C. in the future. For nearly 2 weeks, Texas Democrats have stalled Republicans' attempts to redraw the state's congressional districts. Well, Democrats stayed out of state to do this. They said they would return if Republicans adjourn the current special legislative session. But they also want California Democrats to introduce a new congressional map there. Texas Governor Greg Abbott plans to immediately call for a new special session. Doing so means lawmakers would have to refile a bill. The D.C. Attorney General is suing the Trump administration's takeover of the city's police department. The lawsuit claims the administration is abusing its limited temporary authority under the Home Rule Act. It also claims the safety of D.C. residents and visitors is at risk from this. Well, the lawsuit was filed in response to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi's recent order, and that was for the city's mayor and police department to accept the head of the DEA as emergency police commissioner.
Days after President Trump's order to remove homeless encampments from the D.C. area, nonprofits in neighboring areas have been bracing for a possible influx in unhoused residents. For months, a nonprofit shelter in Fairfax County, Virginia, has been working to convert an old hotel into family housing. Staff say the first 2 floors are already occupied. This week, the crew is helping convert rooms on the 3rd floor for dozens of new residents.
There's sometimes a stigma around homelessness, but these are families that you might encounter in your own neighborhood, in your own backyard, that you might not even know are going through this kind of crisis. These are families with children. These are children who are about to start school.
4 families are set to move in today with the goal of getting 5 families in every week until the shelter reaches capacity.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, I have something pretty cool to show you. NC State just revealed their City of Oaks football jerseys. Take a look at this, an entire uniform. Of course, it's Wolfpack red. The script on their helmets inspired by an old neon sign found downtown. They also have a small acorn next to NC State on their jerseys. If you look close, you see the little acorn there, of course, for the City of Oaks. And the patterns on their jerseys also resemble the cap of an acorn. It's really, really cool, the pattern there. The home opener against ECU is in 2 weeks on August 28th.
Yeah, it's looking pretty cool. So exciting news for Durham Bulls fans. A new collectible Wool-E Bull popcorn bucket will be available at tonight's game. There is a limited supply available, though. WRAL's Monica Casey shows us how the Bulls are making history as the first minor league team to create these.
Kids are getting ready for school as summer slows down, but the one thing not slowing down in our area, baseball season. We are here at the Durham Bulls Baseball Park. I'm joined with Dave and Wooly. Wooly, how are we feeling? And now, Dave, you are the food and beverage director here for the Bulls, and you have something really special to show us. Tell me what's going on here.
Okay, so we are excited to introduce our first ever Wooly souvenir bucket. Okay, and he is a popcorn bucket. We have decided to pick up the craze that you have seen in the movie theaters going on, from the Stitch bucket this past summer to Disney parks and all the different buckets they do with characters. Why not have our greatest character at the ballpark in a popcorn bucket?
And Dave, this is a huge deal for this team. You all are one of the first, correct?
Yes, we are one of the first minor league baseball teams. We think we're the first minor league baseball team, and we only know of one other Major League Baseball team that has had a character souvenir bucket for popcorn. So we are excited to introduce this. It has been close to a year in the making for us to do this. It took a little convincing of the supplier that supplies these to Disney that we were serious about this and that our fans would come out and that we would buy enough of these to make them happy.
There we go. And people can get that popcorn right here at the home plate grab and go.
Yes.
And it starts tonight.
It starts tonight. And if you want this souvenir bucket still in the plastic and we put the popcorn in a bag for you because you want to hold on to that souvenir, you can definitely do that. Or we'll put the popcorn directly in it, however you want it to be served.
All right. Ending baseball season with a bang here, or a pop, rather.
With a pop. Yes, I love it.
Thank you, Dave. We'll send it back to you guys in studio.
So first of all, those look cool, but I also have like a special place in my heart for popcorn. I used to work at a movie theater for like years. So anytime I see a cool bucket, I'm so tempted to buy one. And that one, I don't know, that may have to be on the mantle. Who knows?
Well, and we have a special place in our hearts for the DBAP, one of the best minor league baseball parks in the country. And Wooly Ball, the trailblazer that he is, I love his energy. I'm always like, I want some of his energy, you know. Can I have some of that? Meteorologist Alyssa Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. All week long, we had showers popping up like popcorn. But
we did, yes.
And there's a little something there.
Yeah, we're good right now. We're all good. No worries. I don't think we're going to see much of anything today. Dual Doppler 5000 radar looking nice and quiet right now, which makes it the perfect evening to head out to the Durham Bulls. There were so many events going on this week when we were dealing with some rain. Our friends over at Mix 101.5 were doing 9 weddings and 9 innings on Monday night, and they got that in without any rain, which was amazing. Now, we do still have a flood risk. It's a low risk, that level 1 risk. It's unlikely that we would see much rain, but of course, we didn't see much rain yesterday until we did, right there in Wake County, and it caused some flooding. We take a look here at 5 o'clock. You can see a tiny little cell pops up here. We may have another one that pops up later on during the evening. Any of these cells that pop up are going to have a lot of moisture to work with and could dump some heavy rain and cause some minor flooding. But most of us are not going to see this. This is a 20 to 30% chance at this point. Some pretty clouds here over downtown Raleigh. Partly cloudy skies right now. It's 84 and our dew point 72, so it's not terribly hot. But when you step outside, whoa, you're going to feel like you're swimming through that air at that dew point in the 70s. 90 for Raleigh and Durham today, 92 in Fayetteville. Officially at RDU, we have seen 0 90-degree days in the month of August. One of the coolest on records, one of the wettest on records as well. But we'll likely see highs near 90 as we get through the weekend. A lot more sunshine. Not a 0 chance for rain, but definitely a lot more sun. This is a look at moisture, or the amount of humidity we have in the air. We have a front that's gradually sinking south. Our wind gradually over the next few days switches to northerly, and especially as we get into early next week, we really start to dry things out and drop that humidity at least somewhat. So here's a look. Today, tomorrow, Monday, tomorrow, Monday, and Sunday and Monday, looking at feeling like upper 90s to around 100. But Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to see a nice little drop in the humidity, so it feels more like low to mid 90s. I mean, I know it is August, just hasn't really felt like it. Over the weekend, for today, 90, 89 Saturday, 91 on Sunday. A small chance for rain today and tomorrow, but generally a nice weekend to get outside. Let's go back to Erin, which is still way out here in the middle of the Atlantic. If you're just tuning in, it is our first hurricane of the season as of the 11 o'clock advisory. It will not ruin your beach plans this weekend. It is way out in the Atlantic. Moving northwest at 18 miles per hour, 400 miles northeast of the Leeward Islands. It does look like it misses all of the Caribbean islands, but it does intensify quickly. It may be Category 4 from late Saturday all the way through early Tuesday, and then weekends only slightly as it moves past North Carolina. Let's take a look at the wave heights. There's a lot to be seen here. You can see sort of the extent of how big this storm is going to be. This is Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Our seas are at about 6 feet at that point. We'll pause it Wednesday at 5 o'clock. It looks like late Wednesday is when it will be closest to us. The seas could be 9 to 10 feet. We'll see rough surf, beach erosion, and high rip current danger. Probably some gusty winds. We may go under a tropical storm watch or warning, but we are at this point not expecting this to make landfall anywhere in the United States. It's going to go zipping back out to sea. We're going to take another look. I'm going to go specifically through hour by hour. We'll talk more about some of our coastal impacts coming up in about half an hour. In the meantime, it feels like summer for us this weekend with these warmer temperatures and more sunshine.
Yeah, seeing a lot of 90s back in that forecast. Elizabeth, thanks. Well, coming up on our news this afternoon, an Instagram warning. Almost 40 attorneys general sent a letter to Instagram warning that it needs to change a controversial location feature. Cybersecurity experts explain the risk that you might have never been aware of at 5:30.
Plus, flood frustration. Chantal wiped out parts of Camelot Village in Chapel Hill, which is why WRAL Investigates discovered efforts to make the area safer have been stalled for more than a decade. Town leaders explain the holdup. That's at 6. TSA program takes off while stress at security checkpoints plummet. How a new security lane is giving parents a breather while keeping the lines moving.
And budget getaway. Airbnb is giving you another option to save on rentals. How you can reserve now and pay later. It's been just over a month since the TSA launched a new campaign for parents of young children. And so far, so good. Dana Marie McNichol gives us a behind-the-scenes look at how the Families on the Fly campaign works.
The family lane isn't a requirement, just an added help to make the screening process smoother. TSA agents here take extra time to engage with kids one-on-one.
They were really nice.
Walking them through the process with patience.
Any item that's really going to prompt a bag search, we're divesting as much as we can out here because that helps to ease the process all the way through.
These lanes may also see more liquids like formula. Agents are prepared to handle those with care while keeping the line moving.
This is a good place where everyone understands that you have a ton of stuff and kids.
It's not just the families who win, other travelers do too.
It benefits our other security lanes too because in those lanes it helps to decongest some of the larger size items, for example, like strollers.
Orlando was the first airport to debut the program, but 10 airports have family lines up and running. This week, Charleston, South Carolina launched their family line, and later this month, one will open in Tampa. Not every airport will have a family lane right away. TSA says it does depend on space, traffic, and whether the airport is a family-heavy destination.
And that was Dana Marie McNichol reporting. TSA officers opened the new family lane at Charlotte Douglas International Airport last month. Discounted TSA pre-check fees for families are coming soon.
Thousands of students are moving back to campus in the Triangle for the fall semester. The streets you need to avoid to get away from the possible congestion. And the new recommendations from 2 leading health advocacy groups to help keep your blood pressure in check. Why this could mean a major lifestyle change for many people. And we do have a look at your Whitney NC Education lottery numbers. Good luck.
President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are just hours away from bilateral talks to end the war in Ukraine. Notably missing from the meeting, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
And as Alice Barr reports, if today goes well, President Trump says all sides will be at a follow-up meeting.
This morning, President Trump heading to Alaska to meet Russian President Vladimir Putin face-to-face in the hopes of moving a step closer to ending Russia's 3-year all-out assault on Ukraine.
If it's a bad meeting, it'll end very quickly. And if it's a good meeting, we're going to end up getting peace in the pretty near future.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was not invited to Alaska, but President Trump hopes for a swift follow-up, including all parties.
All I want to do is set the table for the next meeting, which should happen shortly.
Zelensky meeting instead this week with European allies, signaling their support and determination to hold the line against further Russian aggression, including prioritizing a ceasefire and security guarantees for Ukraine over any talk of giving up Ukrainian territory.
They'll be discussed, but I've got to let Ukraine make that decision. president's hope is to achieve some stoppage of fighting so that those conversations can happen.
Secretary of State Rubio among the high-level U.S. officials set to join today's talks following a one-on-one between Presidents Trump and Putin and capped by a press conference, though it's not clear if both presidents will take questions. During a 2018 Helsinki summit, President Trump took criticism for appearing to defer to Putin over questions about Russian meddling in the 2016 election. In recent weeks, he's sharpened his tone as Putin has defied repeated calls to stop the assault on Ukraine.
We get a lot of bull thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth.
Now voicing optimism that both sides will agree to a long-sought peace. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And this morning, Ukrainians rallied outside the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv. They wanted to raise awareness of the plight of thousands of prisoners of war in Russian captivity. Relatives said any talks about territorial concessions can be held only after all prisoners of war are returned.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, we have just learned the University of Michigan has been fined tens of millions of dollars following an investigation into an alleged sign stealing and scouting scheme. They suspended head football coach Sharon Moore for the first 3 games of the season. Now, this is something that has been hanging over the college for the past 2 years. A Division I committee says over 3 seasons, the Michigan football program committed multiple violations, including an off-campus, in-person scouting scheme and impermissible recruiting, inducements, and communications. This also involves former Wolverines staffer Connor Stalions and this man here, Jim Harbaugh, who served as head coach at the time. In a notice sent to the school last year, the NCAA alleged that Moore violated rules as an assistant under Harbaugh. The NCAA expected to hold a news conference about all of this later this afternoon.
First on WRAL, a nonprofit run by the wife of former Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is being sent to collections. The nonprofit is called Balanced Nutrition. Essentially, it helped child care businesses get reimbursed by the federal government for food purchases. Well, state officials say Balanced Nutrition overbilled the government and now has to pay back more than $100,000. WRAL state government reporter Paul Spey explains how the government is trying to get that money back.
The Department of Health and Human Services told Balanced Nutrition a few months ago that they owed $101,000. Well, then in March, they sent this letter saying, hey, it's time to pay up. They didn't get anything. So they sent another letter. That's this one from April saying, hey, time's running out. You need to pay this money. They still didn't get anything. So they sent the case to collections. It's now under the jurisdiction of the Department of Justice.
WRAL reporters reached out to representatives of Balanced Nutrition to see how the nonprofit plans to respond to the state's fine, but they didn't respond to our calls or emails. And for more on this story, you can go to the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
College students are returning to the Triangle today for the fall semester. With the thousands of students comes an influx of families to help them move in. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is at NC State and shares how the return of the Wolfpack and other area students could impact traffic over the next few days.
College students are returning to campus at universities across the Triangle. You can see that move-in is well underway here at NC State as students are gearing up for fall semester. Now, you may want to avoid these streets if you're driving near campus over the next few days. Varsity Drive, Dan Allen Drive, and Merill Drive. Check out this video of the Wolfpack class of 2029 moving in. This will be the largest freshman class in the university's history, about 6,000 new students. We caught up with NC State Chancellor Kevin Howell on campus. We asked him about how the university's administration is preparing for possible federal funding cuts.
We're not ready to announce any reductions at this point in time. That'll probably come in September sometime, but we're getting ready for that. We have to do that, but also maintain a quality education for the 6,000 students that we have coming to our campus.
We also caught a glimpse of students moving in at UNC. Students started moving in there on Wednesday. Move-in is scheduled to wrap up on Sunday. Duke students will start moving in tomorrow. University officials there say that drivers should be expecting a lot more traffic near East and West Campus, so be mindful of that if you're driving around Durham this weekend. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Children across our viewing area can get ready for the school year with a school supply giveaway. The Raleigh alumni chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, in partnership with their affiliates and Safe Child, will host Operation Big Book Bag tomorrow morning. This starts at 10 a.m. at Safe Child headquarters located on Kidd Road in Raleigh. Each student will get a backpack with school supplies as well as free books. Operation Big Book Bag began in 1996 and takes place across the country.
Airbnb is giving customers a more flexible payment option for their next getaway location. Reserve now, pay later for guests in the United States. This option allows users to make a reservation without paying right away. However, users must make payment before the end of the free cancellation period. Now, it expands on the already existing pay part now, pay later option, and that allows renters to pay part of the bill at checkout and then the rest before check-in. WhatsApp is rolling out new group calling features, and you'll be able to schedule a team call in advance. You can add future calls and invite friends or coworkers, and the call links will be added to your calendar app. WhatsApp is also adding a raise your hand option to let the group know you want to speak. It's kind of what Zoom and Google Meet offer as well.
Skip the alcohol. Why doctors say even the occasional drink can be too much for your blood pressure.
And climate change consequences, not just here on Earth, how it can affect satellites up in space and what that means for us. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
It's so nice to get a break from the rain and see sun peeking from the clouds there as we take a live look at Durham at the American Tobacco campus. We're glad you're watching WRAL News, also available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. The Health and Human Services Department is restoring a task force that was dedicated to childhood vaccine safety. The development comes amid criticism of current Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for his anti-vaccine views. Congress created the federal panel in 1986. It was to provide Americans with better safety, quality, and oversight of childhood vaccines. It disbanded in 1998. The new panel will be made up of members of the CDC, FDA, and National Institutes of Health. Researchers believe they know why some kids do well with exposure therapy while others struggle. Some children with food allergies have highly responsive immune systems, and this makes them less likely to benefit from exposure therapy. Researchers analyzed blood samples from children undergoing exposure therapy for peanut allergy. The team also found consistent differences in gene activity between kids who responded well and those who did not.
The American Heart Association now recommends people with high blood pressure to stop drinking alcoholic beverages, and the American College of Cardiology agrees. The old guidelines said women should have 1 or less drinks per day and 2 or less a day for men. Well, now it's less than 1 for women and less than 2 for men. Experts are also putting more emphasis on lowering blood pressure to reduce the risk of developing dementia. Apple's latest smartwatches are going to bring back blood oxygen detection. That feature is meant to help people understand their respiratory health. You see, Apple started offering it in 2020 during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. But the International Trade Commission later ruled Apple violated a patent from a digital health company. And that's why imports of watches with the feature were blocked. Well, now Apple can ship a revamped version of that technology.
Tiny brains, huge impact. Scientists think sleeping bees could help engineers create smarter AI models, while dreaming could help machines retain knowledge better.
Martian mystery. A NASA rover captured an image of what appears to be a medieval-looking helmet. Now geologists are chiming in on how this was formed. Tomorrow is World Honeybee Day, and scientists believe bee brains could hold the blueprint for more intelligent artificial systems. Ted Linder explains how.
As the artificial intelligence boom keeps exploding, the drive for systems to learn and do more is revving up. But technology experts at Arizona State University are highlighting an ongoing issue plaguing AI programs called catastrophic forgetting.
If you train an AI system to do a particular task, and then you take that same system and you train it to do another task, if you then go back and ask it to do the first task that it previously been trained to do, it often just doesn't do well at all.
According to Professor Ted Pavlik, possible solutions to combating this information loss may lie within the brains of sleeping honeybees.
From bees to humans, you don't see this catastrophic forgetting. And one of the thoughts is that sleep is doing a consolidation process that after you learn one thing, it sort of puts it into a part of your brain where it's kind of safeguarded. And we're trying to figure out how to build similar forms of sleep by looking at how honeybee sleep is organized in their brain so that we can do something similar in AI systems.
Look at that.
Honeybee brains are really great for this work because they have the complexity to learn lots of things.
Teams at ASU are training bees to learn new tasks and then putting them to sleep to analyze their brain functions.
And we can actually watch the bee brain reconfigure itself during the sleep process so that we can get new insights into how we should organize our own artificial sleep.
That was Ted Linder reporting. And the team hopes to inspire more targeted and efficient sleep cycles in AI models.
Climate change could make satellites more vulnerable to solar storms, threatening everything from GPS to internet service. Researchers say rising carbon dioxide in the upper atmosphere is making the air thinner. That means when powerful solar storms hit, the sun spikes in atmospheric density could be even greater than they are today. Those changes can throw satellites off their orbits, shorten their lifespans, or even cause them to sink toward Earth. NASA's Perseverance rover has found another strange object on Mars. This time, it's a helmet-shaped rock formation. Some say it resembles a 17th century Dutch pot helmet with a pointed peak and flared brim. Side by side, yeah, I see it. The texture of the rock is similar to formations found on Earth. Perseverance has uncovered a growing gallery of odd rock shapes, from donut-like meteorites to avocado-like stones.
Were there medieval times on Mars? Could you imagine just starting a broadcast with that? Pretty cool image to see, though. We're talking about the weather maker that we're seeing right now in the tropics. We're seeing now, what is it, hurricane era now? It's been upgraded today.
It is. At 11 o'clock, it became a hurricane. The hurricane hunters went into the storm this morning and took a peek, saw some very strong winds and an eye wall beginning to form. And they said, okay, yep, this one is a hurricane. 75-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving northwest at 18 miles per hour. It's 460 miles from the northern Leeward Islands, but it fortunately is not likely to have major impacts on any of the Caribbean islands. We also don't at this time expect it to make landfall in the United States. Now, please watch closely because it is going to come fairly close. It comes closest north of the Bahamas and north of the Caribbean islands, but it makes that turn north and then sort of threads the needle between Bermuda and North Carolina. One thing that is going to be very interesting about this storm is it's going to undergo rapid intensification. We've seen more and more of that in the last several years. By the time we get to late Saturday, this is a Category 3 and then Category 4, potentially all the way to Tuesday morning and then back to Category 3. But it could have winds on Monday morning at 140 miles per hour. So this is going to be a very large and very powerful storm. Let's take a look at the model plots. Again, I like the fact that they're clustered together as it moves in between Bermuda and North Carolina. There's the one that sticks out over here toward North Carolina, but the rest of them are clustered here. So that gives us some very good confidence that that's most likely the scenario. What does that mean for the coast of North Carolina? Let's talk about it. This is Tuesday in the morning, and you can see it situated off the coast of Florida. At that point, we start to see the rip current danger increasing along our coast. It continues to move northward. At around noon on Wednesday, you can see starting to move in between Bermuda and North Carolina. At around 11 p.m. on Wednesday, it may be as close as it's going to get to North Carolina, which is going to be about 400 miles from Cape Hatteras to the middle of the center of the storm. But remember, this is a big storm, so we're probably going to have some rain bands. We we may end up with some minor wind damage, some beach erosion, some heavy surf, and that sort of thing, especially during the day on Wednesday and Wednesday night. But this is going to move out pretty quickly. By the time we get to Thursday at 8 p.m., it is pulling well away from North Carolina and zipping into the North Atlantic. Now, this is one computer model. So look, this is actually the American model. And so, easily we could see this, moving a little farther east, a little farther west, because, we're still talking about a number of days away. But that's just kind of an initial, right now, this is what we know, and this is what we think is going to happen. How about this weekend at the beach? You are good to go. Aaron is a very long way from North Carolina. By the time we get to Monday and Tuesday, we might start to see an increase in rip currents, especially Tuesday. And then Wednesday and Thursday is when we would see most of the impact on the North Carolina coast. Right now, I think it would just be minor wind damage and some beach erosion, as we just talked about. It may be that we go under a tropical storm watch or warning along our coast because the storm will be fairly close to us. All right, right now we're looking at a nice dry afternoon, looking at the potential for just a few isolated storms to pop up. You can see one of those up there at the north at about 5 o'clock, around, say, between Rocky Mount and Goldsboro around 8 o'clock. So one or two of those could pop up. But really, we're going to start to dry out nicely for the weekend. It shouldn't be too bad to be outside. It's just going to be hotter. We'll see some high temperatures back into the 90s.
It's National Relaxation Day. Ooh, what better day than a Friday to de-stress? The interesting origin of the unofficial holiday. That's after the break. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines that we're following for today.
The DOT held a bridge naming ceremony in honor of Wake County Deputy Ned Byrd. He was shot and killed during what investigators call an ambush in 2022. The bridge on Auburn-Knightdale Road over the Neuse River is now officially the Deputy Ned P. Byrd Bridge. His family, friends, and colleagues gathered late this morning to honor his life and service over at Springfield Baptist Church in Raleigh. Now, at 1:30, Auburn-Knightdale Road will be closed between Sweetwater Lane and La Costa Way for 30 minutes in remembrance of Deputy Byrd. Costs will soon be going up for most of the nearly 800,000 people on the state health plan. That plan provides insurance for teachers, state employees, retirees, and their families. The plan's leadership met today and voted to approve hiking premiums and deductibles on most of the plan's members.
Duke Energy filed paperwork to merge its two electric utilities in the Carolinas. The company wants to combine Duke Energy Progress and Duke Energy Carolinas. Duke says operating as one utility would save customers more than $1 billion in future costs. North Carolina, South Carolina, and federal regulators, though, would still have to approve this move.
It is National Relaxation Day, a time to focus on yourself. It turns out National Relaxation Day was not the brainchild of an adult, but of someone much younger. A fourth grader came up with the day in 1985. He told a reporter that people should not do anything of real value for the day. And there you have it. National Relaxation Day was born. Well, we've reached the midpoint of our annual Clear the Shelters adoption campaign. All month long, we're helping area animals find forever homes. Today, we would like to spotlight Happy Hills Animal Foundation Incorporated. Now, if you're looking for a new addition to your family, contact them. Give a furry friend a fresh start. To learn more about this and other local events, go to WRAL.com/shelters.
And our pet of the day comes to us from the Wake County SPCA. Hoku is a 12-year-old neuter male dog weighing in at 57 pounds. He's a very laid-back guy, very loving, loves attention, loves to snuggle, just love, love, love. Hoku has met children of all ages, and it's done pretty well for him. Hoku's adoption fee is waived, which includes the neuter, microchip, vaccines, and other wellness care. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL with your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Now go relax on National Relaxation Day. Have a wonderful Friday and weekend.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.